All right, Mock. So that red light came on. This is when most people get nervous. Are you feeling okay?
I'm fine,
You good?
thank you.
He's good. All right, he's ready to go. Well, why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell my listeners a little bit about yourself and what your company is.
Yes, first of all, hi everyone. My name is Mak Grgic. I am currently serving in a role of a CEO and co-founder of Notey, which is a platform where we're building a Gen AI based video games that turn music practice into sort of fun little adventures, and at the same token, we're transforming musical instruments into game controllers
Oh,
to
nice.
enable music practice through video gaming. Um, Otherwise, I'm a professional musician, and I've been a educator for 10, 15 years in the music space. I have toured and played at halls like Carnegie Hall, Disney Hall, have 3 Grammy nominations, and
Nice.
did martial arts when I was a kid.
Oh, very cool. Well,
Yeah.
how did that world dump into this world of Noti? How did you go from that to this?
I just want to punch through the problems.
Yeah.
No, joke aside, I think martial arts was just a fun thing to do. And then when it came to the point where I realized that, doing it professionally was going to be challenging, I deferred to other uh, verticals, let's say, or
Mhm.
interests. And one of them was music. I was also doing science for a brief moment in time, but then I went on to study music in Vienna, in Austria. Then moved to Los Angeles, pursued further studies, which is where actually at the USC I met my co-founder, whom then years later we would then put together Noti as a startup, first of its kind,
Mm.
that merges gaming and AI and music
Yeah,
practice in a in a platform that in which it exists today.
that's cool. Now, did you have in your mind jumping into this for challenge, like around the challenges that you found first learning, way back, back in time when you first starting to pick up the instrument and stuff? Did you have any struggles and stuff? And are you kind of pulling from those experiences with Noti?
Not necessarily. I'm pulling from my experiences as a teacher. I was
Mm,
an unusual young beginner music
mm.
learner in that I enjoyed the craft of practicing, right?
Oh,
I
okay.
enjoyed that part. In fact, I less enjoyed music itself, but rather getting better in an instrument was
Mm,
a chief goal for me. So I would not be myself a good case study, I
mm,
think, but
mm,
all other 1 billion people out there are
mm.
who try playing an instrument, and then they stop,
Yeah.
after just a few months, maybe.
Right.
It
Right.
is said that 90% folks who pick up an instrument stop after their first year. And of
Yeah.
course, pain points we all realize exist,
Hmm.
okay, expense aside, but it's just boring, it's hard, sometimes fingers hurt, the sense of reward just doesn't
Hmm.
come fast enough. And
Right.
so I definitely pulled from my experience as a teacher, seeing what's happening with ever shortening attention spans out
Mm.
there, folks picking up instruments and trying to engage, but they just don't have the bandwidth to engage, and they are not incentivized enough right off bat.
Right.
I think
Right.
once we as music learners kind of overcome the initial barrier of entry, uh, and then music actually becomes fun, such as we're able to reproduce a favorite song or
Hmm.
make sounds that we enjoy. Then I think, those who persist to that point have a better chance of just having music be part of their everyday
Sure.
existence. But most of people don't actually come to that point.
Right. Right. So, I mean, do you guys foresee, like, is it more about just music in general around Noti, like the mission, I should say, or is it more the education? Is it engagement? Is it a combination of all of that, or is there one that really kind of stands out? Like, this is our real mission behind what we're doing.
The mission is to become a household item for anyone looking at starting music practice
Mm.
from the beginning, right? We do not claim ourselves to be a factual replacement of a music teacher, but what we would like to achieve is what Duolingo effectively achieved, as it were, for language learning,
Mm.
which is just making it fun and engaging and people wanting to stick with it for a longer
Yeah.
period of time. And for the most part, we've already done pretty good in our year and a half being out there in the market. We've seen retention rates being as high as 50% usage even after 6 months in,
Mm.
which is very strong and actually
Yeah.
directly correlates to the problem that we're solving, which is
Right.
the retention issue in the first place. That is what we would like to achieve. Now, the technology that we developed both on the pitch recognition and ML side, and then the Gen AI based tools that transform any content, musical content, into worlds in our game and levels that are progression based. Those do allow for expansion into sort of intermediary um, performance playing capacity when it comes to music,
Mm.
but our true mission is to solve that entry level barrier,
Gotcha.
which is the most humongous one, and that's where the
Mm.
most numbers are.
Right. Right. Are there certain instruments that this works better? I mean, I think you play guitar, if I'm not mistaken, from my research. But is it like guitar only? Is it piano, drums? Like what are the instruments that you're focused on right now?
Yeah, the technology is completely instrument agnostic, is based on pitch.
Mm.
So, you can sing into it, you can use piano, whatever. Um, it is more up to our sort of business model and expansion plans that we decided on the consumer side to cater more towards guitar.
Mm.
So there are certain games within the larger gaming platform that are designed to support guitar in a UI sense. Um, but we have worked with schools in a variety of capacities for a variety of instruments already.
Mm.
Those include piano, strings, voice, not just guitars, also ukuleles, some winds. And as we expand, as we grow, offering for other instrument groups is imminent, as
Mm.
much as is expansion to other devices as well. We have been an iOS only device thus
Mm-hmm.
far, and so now partnering up with an awarded development team, Devot from Croatia, we're expediting expansion to Chrome,
Oh, nice.
Android-based devices, and
Yeah,
then web-based as well, which will then provide us with a larger market share.
that's cool. Very nice. Let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit maybe about like the gamification of this. Like
Yeah.
what are we kind of talking about? Like and how is it improving sort of daily practice and consistency? Like what's going on behind the scenes with
Mhm,
gamification?
mhm. Yes. So the first sort of market scoping that we did showed a need for specific kind of sort of practice prototypes. We developed very simple loops within Unity
Mm-hmm.
and had a bunch of kids try them out. And the thing that was the most sticky of all the loops was a very simple concept of a cube that would respond to the right note being repeatedly played, and then it would jump over simple obstacles. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if the wrong note would be played or a chord, then it would not progress. Very simple. And then,
Yeah.
of course, you collect points, etc. And so that gave us the idea that actually it's not a repetition in music practice that is the problem. It is the lack of instant reward
Mm-hmm.
systematics that if if not there, then the student at early stages is not incentivized enough. It's not exciting enough. So we went off the assumption, seeing that prototype, that applying full-on gaming elements, and I'm not just talking about gamifying like a little
Mm-hmm.
bells and whistles, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about a factual game being wrapped around an educational concept, such as sight reading in music, such as
Mm-hmm.
rhythm, note playing phrases, songs, etc. Right?
Right.
Anything that kind of belongs to that bucket. If we put those practice components and insert them into mini games, very simple mini game concepts, put them all together into a larger gaming platform, then perhaps we could talk about sort of a new wave, a newly refashioned and reinvented sense of music practice. And so when people tell me how I would describe this in a very simple concept, I would say just imagine Duolingo meets Guitar Hero with a sprinkle of Super Mario,
Okay.
but for real instruments.
Yeah.
It's kind of that. And what we have been seeing is exactly what we were hoping to see, which is that kids actually want to play. They're like, oh my God, this is so cool, blah, blah, let's keep repeating this game. And while repeating the game and getting those rewards and, leveling up and upgrading, whatever, then they basically practice.
Yeah, that's nice. Let's move a little bit over to maybe like the business itself and growth. So,
Sure.
What are some of the challenges that you guys are facing right now, with being an education focused startup? Like, what's keeping you up at night right now?
Well, I mean, I would say the standard things when it comes to, an early stage startup being basically at an early precipice of growth is how to expedite it, right? I mean, we are a small team of 4 full-time people with a few contractors, consultants helping us out. Have come to the point where our conversions are definitely beating industry averages on the user onboarding flow, where we're seeing like 11% install to start free trial, 48% start free trial to full subscription conversion. We're seeing fabulous retention, as I mentioned before, and we're growing at between 15 to 20%, quarter over quarter. But it's growth that could be expedited through capital investment, through expansion of the team, through more resource in terms of just growth hacking. The roles, as it were, in a early stage startup are set up so that everyone is a jack of many trades, and it would be much more efficient if we were to delineate and allocate some capital towards team expansion that would support better marketing efforts, better sales, better customer support, more robust development efforts. All of these things kind of would then help us become an even better and a quicker growing company.
Sure. Now your shirt is Techstars there, and I think you were a part of that accelerator. Like,
yes,
how did that help in this journey? Over the last 2 years, you said, right? It hasn't been that long, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So how did Techstars sort of fit into this equation?
Yes. So there's a variety of benefits to an accelerator like Techstars. First is a community, right? I mean, community of friends and sort of the kind of the back and forth of know-how, the access to mentors, the access to funding. There's some value also to brand recognition. I mean, Techstars does carry a solid brand. But ultimately for us, it was a way to learn about the startup ecosystem, right? So I have been an entrepreneur for a while, but this is my first factual startup that's a growth type of startup. I did something in retail before, and I had a bunch of nonprofit projects and networks that I have done and successfully executed. But the learning curve around being connected to folks who are part of such ecosystem is of great value.
Yeah, that's nice. How do you see and describe in your mind Notey fitting into the institutional education system maybe over the next 5 years, right? Like where do you see maybe where it is right now, how you guys could fit in? Just how do you sort of think about that over the next few years?
Right, great question. So we are here to support and augment also teachers, right? As they kind of navigate their own issues in retenting students, we are the tool to provide that, right? Sort of the more fun experience, so to say. What happened for us early last year when we launched into the, public space for the first time is we went to some of the teachers that we knew in schools, and we spoke to them. We wanted their qualitative feedback, and what became interesting for them. So interesting question in respect to teachers. We are here to support and augment what teachers do and provide the necessary retention with their students by having the tool that just makes it a whole lot more fun to practice. But the other interesting thing that happened was early last year when we launched for the first time is we went to schools and wanted to speak to teachers and their students as well to get some qualitative input. And we weren't actually considering a B2B arm of our business at all. We were really just kind of fixated on being a direct to consumer, much like some of our other colleagues in the space are. But what became apparent is that teachers, music teachers in schools, they lack tools that support and augment exactly the materials that they teach, right? There's a lot of platforms out there that provide their own curriculum, their own level progression, their own content, but teachers know what they want to teach, right? And every teacher has their own methodology book, curricula, etc. And we were tinkering with early stage features of our Gen AI world builder, which essentially assumed that any user could drag and drop any type of music content, video, audio, or sheet music, and just generate worlds upon worlds and levels upon levels of learning progression through our game based on that content, right? So the teachers got really excited about that. And we essentially started producing that custom content for them. And that's how our B2B arm developed. And so as we, of course, navigate the other bottleneck, which is not having a Chrome build out, because everyone knows that, iOS has only a small fraction of the market when it comes to schools, but rather Chrome is everywhere. When we fix that, then we will step on the gas pedal and expedite also our efforts in terms of, selling more to districts and having more presence with schools. Thus far, 40 schools have been our partners, which is pretty good.
Wow. Yeah, it's great.
But, there's a lot of capacity to grow there.
Sure. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Getting into schools can be quite challenging. I've done
Absolutely.
4 or 5 projects where boy, there's a lot of red tape to get through to find the right person who's the decision maker and then get it, actually even get it installed in the business can be challenging. So what have you learned as a founder about building a product for kids? It's got to be different than other things you probably have worked on, but just when your kids focus, what are you learning right now as a founder as you're doing this?
So for us, the learning curve has been navigating the sales cycle properly, and of course the messaging and all of that comes around to it, because effectively it's not the kids who are purchasing, right? It is the parents and teachers respectively, but it is the kids that inform the parents or teachers' decision that this was the right thing to purchase. So in any case, the user onboarding for us has been, a tricky thing to navigate, because part of the user onboarding has to belong to the parent as they commit to pay, download, and are incentivized enough to commit to something for their kids. But there has to be a point in time within the app where the child takes over and basically becomes the end user. And we iterated a lot on that user onboarding journey to just really find the right balance and the right, of course, conversions that are the the North Star sort of benchmarks in the industry. I would say that has been probably the most challenging thing,
Mm, mm,
to learn how to kind of wrap this up in a way where the parents understand its value right off bat. Parents, of course,
yeah.
are heavily inundated by everything that's out there, have very
Hmm.
little time,
Yeah.
so how to provide maximum value upfront for them, and then maximum value, sort of further down in the app journey for the end
Right.
user, which is the beginner music
Yeah,
learner.
that's interesting. Very
Hmm.
interesting. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice before starting Noti, what do you think it would be?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky question, because as I mentioned, my first startup
Mm,
in the sort of standard growth type
yeah.
approach. So a lot of things that I learned on the fly.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had to learn how to code to help build the first MVP,
Mm,
and all of those things would be hard for me to have advice on. I
right.
I would say perhaps that, um, and this is maybe advice for any founder, is just one has to do the proper market scoping first,
Mm,
to really ensure that the market wants and demands for the type of product that is being built. Because oftentimes, what I have seen with us and with other, and sort of um, in the scene, is that we get married to the idea of our product.
mm, hmm.
And the product may be befitting or maybe less befitting to what the
Right.
market actually demands. And so the ability to listen to the market is very important. And of
Yeah.
course, iterate upon need,
Sure.
for whatever the market shows. So I think that
Yeah.
would be maybe the most crucial advice. But then, if I'm just giving advice to myself, you know, make sure you have all the puzzles right, not just going through the door without knowing things.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I would not be able to know that without actually doing it, right? So
Sure.
so
100%.
that's a
Well,
conundrum.
where can people kind of dive into your world if they're hearing this? Where should people go to learn more about what you guys are working on?
Yeah, so our sort of landing page is notey.co, notey.co. Otherwise, I mean, we have an iOS app, which is fully available for a free, kind of use for
Mm,
the standard 7-day free trial if anyone wants to try it out. Otherwise, I welcome any questions and inquiries, just even directly to my email, which is mak at notey.co. And happy to connect with users at any point in time, and talk to them, seeing what they think, and trying to do our best to support those who
yeah.
use our product.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy.
Of course,
You're running a startup. There's a million things to be doing. Lots of hats to wear. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day. And this was a great interview. And good luck doing everything you guys are doing. It's a really really awesome product.
absolutely. Thanks for the invite,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, always happy to chat if
Awesome.
anyone's interested.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Mhm.